solutions to the resources supply challenges currently facing the global economy. The Central Bank of Nigeria has ordered banks and payment service providers to accept indemnity from customers for highly secured online funds transfer. This was stated by the Director of Payment System Management Department, Musa Jimoh. He said banks should accept indemnity from customers for highly secured online funds transfer above 1 million naira for individual and 10 million naira for corporate, subject to a maximum of 25 million naira for individual and 250 million naira for corporate. He also added that they should provide customers with the option of electronic or paper indemnity based on the customer's preference. Mr. Jimoh urged the banks to adhere to multiple-factor authentication for highly secured online funds transfer. The Academic Staff Union of Universities has expressed optimism about its ongoing meeting with the Professor Nimi Briggs Committee, describing the negotiation as being progressive. Speaking in an interview with newsmen, the National President, ASU, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, said the union had been negotiating with the Briggs Committee since last week over its demands. ASU commenced its ongoing strike in February after the federal government failed to meet some of its demands, including the release of revitalization funds for universities, renegotiation of the 2009 agreement, release of earned allowances for university lecturers, and deployment of the University Transparency and Accountability Solution. Meanwhile, the Federal Ministry of Education has received the report of the 21 white paper drafting panels, which were constituted in March for tertiary institutions across the country. Despite the federal government's achievement of the significant progress in the last 3 years in the fight against tuberculosis, Nigeria still records 200,000 new infections yearly. Noting that these new cases are yet to be detected and enrolled for treatment, Minister of Health, Dr. Usage Hanire, who spoke at the launch of the Compendium of Tuberculosis Best Practices by the National Tuberculosis, Uruli, Ulcer, and Leprosy Control Program in Abuja, stressed the need for government to step up commitment and invest strategically across the board to improve best practices. Dr. Hanire observed that at the peak of the COVID-19 outbreak in 2020, there was 18% drop in the number of TB cases diagnosed and notified globally from 7.1 million in 2019 to 5.8 million in 2020. He added that during the period, fatalities increased considerably due to reduced attention to the treatment of patients. He said Nigeria, as with many other nations, suffered the impact of COVID-19 with negative socio-economic trends and health service disruptions following the introduction of lockdowns in the second quarter of 2020. The minister submitted that TB testing was reduced by about 30%, resulting in 17% decrease in case finding and notification. He also acknowledged that the implementation of innovative strategic intervention put in place by tuberculosis program managers, including integration of TB control into COVID-19 response measures. Sickle cell disease in the era of pandemic is the topic of the lecture to be delivered tomorrow morning by Professor Olatunji Mabayoje. The release signed by the organizer and the host, Dr. Oluwatosin Adesoye, says the venue of the program is Leisure Spring Hotel, Dada Estate, Osogbo. Dr. Rafiu Isamatu, the Osun State Commissioner for Health, is the father of the day. Among the special guests are Professor Olaitan and pharmacist C.G. Olamiju, the special advisor to the governor on health. The installation of Mamari's cat, Bolanle Majokola, as the Yasuna of Olobedu Central Mosque, Ayekale, Osogbo, comes up tomorrow morning. A statement by one of the sons-in-laws of the new Yasuna and the Deputy Director Current Affairs, OSBC TV, Oluwatoyin Yusuf, indicates that the ceremony will combine with the 88th birthday celebration of Mamari's cat, Majolasan. The statement adds that the celebrations will be preceded by a special prayer at the residence of the celebrant early tomorrow. She is blessed with children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Among them is Mrs. Ganiyat Yusuf. Osun State chapter of the Federation of Muslim Women's Association in Nigeria continues its Form 1 week and humanitarian visit to the association's adopted community Egbedi advocacy program on the need to have an open defecation-free society. The Form 1 week, which has its theme, Environmental Behavioral Changes in Today's Society, a call for action by all stakeholders focused on sustenance, abuse, and addiction. The program continues tomorrow with the cleaning of mosques and recreational centers across the state, while a public lecture to be presented by the State Commandant of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency holds on Sunday. The Form 1 week is to be rounded off on Tuesday with visitation to Correctional Center headquarters, Gangan Road, orphanage and hospitals in Osogbo. And now to sports. Super Eagles head coach Jose Peseiro has praised his players for an improved performance, despite losing to Ecuador in their second friendly game in the United States. Ecuador ran out 1-0 winners thanks to a third-minute global by Villarreal left-back Pervis Estupina, taking advantage of the poor defending by the Eagles' backline to head home a set piece. But the Eagles came out more purposeful and buzzed the remainder of the game, but failed to convert some decent scoring chances. Speaking after a second defeat since taking charge, Peseiro praised his players for the improvement shown after the Mexico game. The Portuguese went on to question the referee's decision not to award the Eagles a penalty in the first half. The coach said the second half was much better. It is not easy to put pressure for 90 minutes. He added that the goalkeeper touched the foot of the striker, but anybody can make mistake, as players can commit mistake also. Up next for Peseiro and his team is the 2023 AFCON qualifiers against Sierra Leone and Mauritius. And on the foreign scene, the World Health Organization has said deaths on the African continent from COVID-19 are expected to fall by nearly 94% in 2022 compared to last year. The WHO said the growth in the numbers is due to increased vaccination, improved pandemic response, and natural immunity from prior infections. It also stated that as of the end of last month, Africa had reported over 11.8 million confirmed COVID-19 cases and more than 250,000 deaths since the pandemic began, according to data from the WHO Africa's office, which will publish more details of its modeling later in the day. The WHO analysis found out that richer countries and southern African nations have had around double the mortality rates of poorer ones in other parts of Africa, partly due to comorbidities that increase the risk of death. According to the analysis, about 23,000 deaths are expected by the end of the year, provided current variants and transmission patterns remains the same. And that ends the evening news on OSBC TV. Please join us at 7 for major reports. Good evening.